All right, welcome everybody. You're listening to WRUU 107.5 FM, WRUU.org. We are Savannah Soundings Community Radio with Global Soul. I'm your host, Adam Messer, and today I have a couple of really interesting people, Scott and Kirsten Vaughn, who are musicians. And I'd like to just share this with you. Scott and Kirsten Vaughn have been performing together since 1992, doing medieval, Renaissance, and Celtic folk music. In 2007, they started to delve into their world of wizard rock, folk, and nerd rock, and have since been performing as the Blibbering Humdingers, mostly at sci-fi and fantasy conventions around the world. So we have Scott and Kirsten on the line. Can you hear me, Scott and Kirsten?
Yes, we can.
Yep.
Okay, let me just pot you up a little bit there. I can hear you now. I was having some difficulties before the show started trying to get it to work. So I'm glad that we've got everything going on here. Let me introduce Sebastian Messer. He's my son. He always plays some music for me, and that's one part of my show. I think it's really cool that you and your family do music. So, Sebastian, would you mind playing a little bit for us? And this is Sebastian Messer.
Hey, kids.
All right, thank you very much, Sebastian. So, Scott and Kirsten, would you mind telling us a little bit more about yourself, and then we're going to play some of your music.
Sure, you like our lives or our music? What do you want to know?
Well, first of all, my name is pronounced Kirsten.
Kirsten. Okay, thanks, Kirsten.
Not a big deal. Yeah, well, I mean, you sort of said it in the summary at the start of the show. In the early 2000s, we've always been into fantasy and science fiction, Lord of the Rings, and Harry Potter and all that. But around about 2007, we had really gotten involved in the Harry Potter fandom. And there was this movement going on that was called Wizard Rock, where all these bands were popping up, writing songs about the stories and the characters
of Harry Potter.
from the Harry Potter universe. And we decided, hey, we could do this too. And started writing stuff and started corresponding with other Wizard Rock artists, and spent several years really exclusively as a Wizard Rock act. And then, probably around 2012 or so, the Harry Potter fandom really started to slow down, or at least musically, the Wizard Rock fandom did. And we were doing more. We've always been going to sci-fi and fantasy conventions and such. And we decided, to start branching out into other fandoms because we'd done the medieval and Renaissance thing for so very long and needed something new to write about. So we, found a lot of inspiration in Doctor Who and
Star Wars
and the Avengers and Star Trek and Firefly and so many other different fun fandoms to write about. So that's what we've been doing for most of the last decade. We still, with the release of the Fantastic Beasts movies, our latest album is very heavily inspired by that bit of series, but we're still doing a lot of other stuff.
Half of the songs are, and the other half are other
Right.
generic geeky things.
Oh,
and
really
one
cool.
cover of the 10 song.
So let me. I've actually got the YouTube, your YouTube channel up here right now, and
boy, there's some weird stuff up.
Yeah. let's play. Let's see here. Dobby, Bang Your Head. Let's play that one.
Don't miss a moment. Live TV from 70 plus channels. YouTube TV. Start streaming now.
All right.
This is my beautiful wife, Bailey Skein.
I'm sorry, everybody, that it plays ads on the YouTube, so
4 years.
Married for 1 year.
skip ad. There we go. This is called Dobby, Bang Your Head by the Blithering Humdingers.
By the ear and bang it against the wall, but it's really starting to smell. Maybe I should soak it in some bleach. Oh, that would just be tasteless. Wouldn't do that. Now I'm a wizard rock star. Drums, bass, electric guitar, and Dobby's gone, but that's okay. I know his spirit lives on. Rocks out with me and Ron. He helps us rock the night away. 'Cause when I play each show, he's there in the front row, rocking to books he's read and banging his head. Yeah, Dobby, bang your head. Yeah, Dobby, bang your head. This mental elf will drive you mad. This mental elf will drive you mad. This mental elf will drive you mad.
Dobby's Dobby this and Dobby that. Dobby, Dobby, Dobby. Dobby had to iron his hands. Oh, poor Dobby. What about us? What about our precious? Where's our precious? Oh, stupid Dobby.
There we go. So that song is about the same time frame you were saying with the Wizard Rock, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was an early piece that we did. We actually, it was funny writing that because a friend was putting together a charity compilation It was, it was a charity that benefited, surgery for children with facial deformities and things like that. And it was called,
Seriously Smiling, and it was, comedy songs.
right. Yeah. He wanted songs that were comedy. And the guy putting together the compilation does a lot of like really hard power punk kind of stuff and some stuff that sounds like Weezer. And anyway, he's just a really like fun rock musician kind of guy. So we really wanted to write something that he would think was funny. um, so that was part of the inspiration behind that piece as well. So lots of little inside jokes in it.
Yeah, it's so interesting because we talked a couple weeks ago for a little while on the phone, and then I listened to some of the music, and I just I was on it's so weird. Like when I click on your website and I go to the YouTube channel, there's like a bazillion videos, and then when I type in "blibbering humdingers," it has like this nice little playlist, and it's got the albums. So you have let's see, this one is fantastic. And again, I'm sorry, our thing keeps playing ads or whatever, so let me just mute that so I can play this. Hold on one second here. Okay, so you have the oh my gosh, it says Winter at Biltmore. Oh, that's an ad again.
Oh, so okay,
so sorry. I'm trying to pull up this. It says Blind Pigs by the Humdingers. Fantastic Geeks and Where to Find Them, 2018.
Yep, that's our newest album. Yep.
Okay, let me pull this up here. I gotta try to avoid playing ads, so it's kind of awkward with YouTube. And okay, so skip that ad, and then we're gonna pause this. Okay, so we're gonna play this. We're gonna play this one next, but I need to do a little station ID. So everybody, you're listening to WRUU LP Savannah, Georgia, 107.5 FM, WRUU.org. We are Savannah Soundings Community Radio with Global Soul. So can you tell me a little bit more about this album? And honestly, I like the different styles that you play. I mean, you have piano, you have little folky, little jazz, kind of like a mixture of different stuff. So can you talk more about your play style and the music?
Yeah, that album, Fantastic Geeks and Where to Find Them, was the one that was inspired after the Fantastic Beasts movie, and that movie was set in 1926, so we tried to give the album kind of a 20s theme sound. We also do ballroom dancing, and when I was writing a lot of those songs, I tried to write a few different songs and different styles of dance so that we could actually choreograph dances to that. And we've done Blind Pig is a foxtrot. We actually did a dance to it, and
like a 1 2 3 1 2 3 type.
Yeah.
Is that a waltz or?
No, that's waltz. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know much about dancing, so
is slow, quick, slow, right?
Oh, okay.
Do it in my
that's
head.
tango.
That's tango. You're right.
Basically, if you want to snap along to
if you can
it's
snap,
probably
you
a
can probably
foxtrot.
foxtrot to it.
Well, I'm very impressed. I mean, honestly, you guys, it seems like you spend a lot of time on your music, also with the not just the instrumentals, but the vocals, and you do a really nice job of pulling it all together. So I was really impressed with it, and I'm glad they all could come on the show today. So let's play, everybody. This is Blind Pigs by the Blibbering Humdingers, Scott and Kirsten Vaughn.
Thank you.
Okay, it should be playing. And it's not playing, even though YouTube says it's playing. Give me a second here.
To cast the right spell to enter our illicit secret watering hole. Welcome to our speakeasy hideout, but stay outside if you are a troll. It's the Blind Pig. Blind Pig. A dank and dark and wicked refuge for the dry and dodgy wizard or witch. The keenest covert magical gin joint So come on, come in and scratch that itch. The band is playing jazzy, the flap is dancing sassy, hazy smoke drifts in the air. The goblin gangsters are getting frazzled with lots of giggle water to spare. It's the blind pig. Need a place for clandestine meetings or illegal smuggled black market spells, dealing in prohibited potions while avoiding or prison cells. It's the blind pig. Witches at the bar looking shady, gambling wizards raise up a cheer. The house elves congregate in the corner, getting screeched on their butterbeer. The band is playing jazzy, the flap is dancing sassy, hazy smoke drifts in the air. The goblin gangsters are getting zazzled with lots of giggle water to spare. It's the blind pig. Blind pig. Have a gin or fine fire whiskey. The drinks flow as long as there's dough. Miscreants and magical misfits getting ossified on the down low. It's the blind pig. Blind pig. You better cast the right spell to enter our illicit secret watering hole. Welcome to our speakeasy hideout. Find enchantment for your body and soul. The band is playing jazzy, the flap is dancing sassy, hazy smoke drifts in the air. The goblin gangsters are getting zazzled with lots of giggle water to spare. The squibs are spifflicated and so inebriated, the aura stay out of your head. Step up to the bar and pick your poison. This juice joins the best anywhere. It's the blind pig. It's the blind pig. Blind pig. Blind pig.
All right, so that was Blind Pig from the album Fantastic Geeks and Where to Find Them by the Blibbering Humdingers, who are my special guests today. Think of that. Wow. So Scott and Kirsten Vaughn. So that was a neat little kind of jazzy little tune. Can you talk a little bit about it with the lyrics and stuff?
Yeah, in the movie they go to a speakeasy, but it's a wizard's speakeasy, and it was called The Blind Pig. So when I was researching the lyrics for the song, I knew I wanted to write a speakeasy song, and so I was looking up a bunch of 20s slang for drink, drank, drunk, booze, etc. And I learned in that process that Blind Pig is a name that they actually called speakeasies in the real world in the 20s. It was sort of like one of those secret passwords, like, hey, got a nickel to see the blind pig? You know, like that was one way you could
There you
get
go.
in the door to the speakeasy.
Well,
Yeah.
and writing and recording that one was fun too, because, well, we've got a bunch of guest musicians on that one. Our friend Chuck Parker lives up in Richmond, Virginia, and plays bass with us a lot. And we got to really stretch him on that because he mostly plays rock bass. And that one's got a bass line that really walks around and is a lot of fun and
More
has, like,
swing.
yeah, old time jazz sound to it. And
Mhm.
then playing saxophone on that number is actually Kirsten's brother, Mark, who is a professional saxophone player.
Wow.
And makes his part-time living playing saxophone
Yeah,
in various bands and
he
recordings
listened-
and stuff.
He listened to the song once, and then we hit record, and he just
Yeah,
played
so that
some
was all improvised from him. He just
That was
felt
great.
did it, and I was like, that's how good he is. I was
Yeah,
just
it was
really,
fun.
we were really pleased with that. And then on backing vocals is our friend Ashley Hamill, who is a friend from the Wizard Rock scene. She has her own band called Ashley Hamill and the Wizards, WZRDS. She's a lot of fun. She lives up in Connecticut, and we play shows with her all the time. And she's a multi instrumentalist and um, former Miss Connecticut
And
pageant
not important.
entrant.
Not important.
She's just a very talented and skilled
She
musician.
is.
That's awesome. So we played some of your early stuff, and we played some of the newer stuff. Can you talk about the evolution of your music over the years?
Well, we've gotten better.
Well, one thing that has definitely changed, like when we started doing the Wizard Rock, we kind of kept at it the way we were doing our medieval and folk music before, which is Scott would write the song and I would help here and there with a little bit of lyrics, and I would write all the harmonies and stuff. But when we started doing the Wizard Rock, I wanted to sing some of them, so we had to change that around, and I wanted more of a role, an active role in the band. So we started sort of taking turns writing and trying to balance the writing a little more. But the newest album, I did a lot of the lyrics on.
Yeah, you did probably
and
80% of the lyrics.
and some of the tune stuff more than usual. So
Yeah.
so it's different, you know, it has a different feel because it was a different person writing it.
Yeah. And we continue to try to stretch the musical styles that we play in. We don't, when people ask what genre we are, it's hard to say.
Well,
because...
I like to say, you know, we do things from the 20s, we do 40s, we do 80s. We have a few songs that are like,
you're very influenced by like 80s
80s
new wave,
and
80s rock stuff.
Right, because that was the music we were listening to most when we grew up, and you know, and also the folk stuff. So, you know, we purposefully play in a lot of different musical styles.
Yeah, whatever fits the song, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. And is this Fantastic Geeks and Where to Find Them? Is that the newest album, or what's your newest album?
That's the newest one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so we met because of Rachel Brune, and so I know when we first talked, I guess you were saying that she probably knew you from the medieval music or whatever.
That's right.
And so that has a whole different circle of music versus kind of contemporary pop style music or whatever. So can you talk about the differences between like playing that sort of style versus, you know, the newer stuff?
Well, let's see, our more medieval and folksy stuff, well, the instrumentation tends to be very different. That's a very obvious difference.
Yeah.
Musically, especially a lot of the authentic medieval and Renaissance and even the older medieval stuff musically works very differently than modern music. You know, I'll often listen to like video game soundtracks or movie soundtracks and hear, you know, what modern composers like to pretend medieval music sounded like. And usually it's like, it's nothing like what more
Real
academic. Well, we don't really know what real medieval music sounds like, but people who are much more scholarly than we are have put together lots of awesome recordings, and we tend to pretty much imitate those. I mean, we also have the advantage of Kirsten's parents were both doctors of music who directed multiple early music consorts out west for most of her young life.
Oh, okay.
And
That's really
so
cool.
we inherited their early music collection, including all kinds of instruments and manuscripts and stuff. So it was easy to delve into that. But
I always think of green sleeves when I think of music, like medieval music.
A lot of people do.
Yeah.
It's like the stairway to heaven of
Right.
medieval.
It's the stairway to heaven for medieval music.
Yeah.
So what's another tune that people might recognize, though?
Well, a lot of Christmas carols, like What is that one?
Oh, come, Emmanuel.
Oh yeah, O Come Emmanuel.
As a Gregorian chant kind of thing.
Yeah, and We Be no.
Mm-hmm.
God rest ye merry gentlemen, is a very old carol, dates to the late Renaissance. Oh gosh, what are some other? There's not a lot from the Middle Ages that people would recognize unless you
Scarborough Fair. Scarborough Fair.
I don't know if it really is.
I think it is.
I don't know. I'd have to research more.
I think it is.
Yeah.
I remember.
People only know that one because Paul Simon found it. And made it popular.
It's like there's one song in the movie Lady Hawk. In the soundtrack, that's a real medieval tune. The rest is Alan Parsons, and then there's like one song from Conan the Barbarian that's a real medieval tune, but it didn't get on the soundtrack. You only hear it in the movie. The rest is Basil Polidorius, which is great music, but not most people wouldn't recognize medieval music unless you listen to bands like Blackmore's Night. Or Lorena McKennitt has done some covers of a few pieces.
I think it's interesting. Like I took AP English in high school, and we read a lot of Shakespeare. And Mr. Moore, he talked about dynamic pentameter. Dun, 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 dun,
right?
And that's what I think of. Like when they performed, they would perform in that with that cadence or whatever. And so I always thought, I always kind of felt like, music back then was a little bit more up tempo or whatever. And, just kind of short and whatever. So.
Not necessarily. Well, when you talk about the Middle Ages, you could be talking about from 600 to 1600, and
I was going to say like 1,000 years span, right?
Yeah. Well, and the iambic pentameter was certainly a popular style in the late English Renaissance.
I was saying it wrong. Thank you for fixing that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been a long time since we thought about that. And I was, he used to have us practice reading the sonnets and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, I don't know.
Actually, one of the songs I wrote, I was trying to write it in iambic pentameter. I can't even remember which song it was.
I have no idea.
I can't remember.
I know there's like, come to think, I guess there's like a Christopher Marlowe piece that, I don't know, people might recognize the lyrics, if not the tune. Come live with me and be my love, and we shall all the pleasures prove, at field and fountain more and measure. No?
Wrong words, but anyway,
okay.
Yeah.
I'll just hum along. Da, 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 da.
Yeah.
No, I'm not really a
Lorena
musician. I'm more of a
McKennitt
writer. So
Say what?
I said I'm not a musician. I'm more of a writer. So it's my son's a musician, and we're gonna do our half an hour break. So Sebastian, would you mind playing a little bit for us? All right, here is Sebastian Messer, everybody, and he's just gonna play a little bit on the acoustic.
You hear it?
Mm-hmm. And which that was Jim Croce, wasn't it? Which song was that one?
New York's Not My Home.
Yeah, you love Jim Croce, don't you?
Yeah.
What do you like about him?
I like his melodic, like the
the way he plays.
He's always got like that walking bass, notes.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, let's do our station IDs, everybody. We're listening to WRUU-LP Savannah, Georgia, 107.5 FM, WRUU.org. We are Savannah Soundings Community Radio with Global Soul.
This portion of WRUU-LP Savannah Soundings programming
Bless
is
you.
brought to you by listeners in the Ships of the Sea Museum. One of the hidden secrets of the Ships of the Sea Museum is its gardens. Native plants are interspersed with exotic tropical plants throughout the gardens. Visitors can enjoy everything that has earned the Ships of the Sea Museum the Trip Experts 2015 Experts Choice Award. You can find out more about the Ships of the Sea Museum at the website shipsofthesea.org.
All right, everybody, welcome back. And you are listening to the Adam Messer Show. Today, my special guests are the Blibbering Humdingers, Scott and Kirsten Vaughn. And it's not just you two, right? It's like it's kind of like a family affair.
As far as the writing goes, it's just the two of us. But for performance, we have Chuck Parker from the Richmond area who joins us on bass on a lot of our shows. And then sometimes when we get a chance to, we play with our kids. Our 16-year-old son Liam is an amazing piano player, but also plays guitar and bass and percussion, all sorts of things. But he'll play piano with us on stage.
On stage mostly. And then our other son, Aiden, is a decent drummer.
He's 18.
Yeah, he's 18. He learned to play drums playing Rock Band
Taught
on
himself,
the video game.
Hmm.
But he'll sit down and he'll, because he knows our songs, he'll just use patterns that he knows and throw in some cool fills, and it just really it's a great addition to a live show.
And it's fun to play with the kids on stage. It makes us proud parents. I'm sure you understand.
Oh yeah. Sebastian plays most of the time. He plays heavy metal, but it's always nice to have live music on my show, and it's kind of fun. It gives him a stage, but also I think it's just an added feature for the show, and having people on and whatever. So it's kind of cool. Tell me more about the process, because one of the things I do with this show is I talk to folks about their process and just kind of overcome obstacles. So with the music, obviously you have to know how to play and sing and that kind of thing. What's maybe something that people wouldn't think about? It's like a behind the scenes that you spend more time on than people might actually understand that you do.
Well, I know that it takes Scott a really long time to, once we just sit down and record, that's the easy part. But then the
Oh, you mean record
mastering.
your vocals?
Yeah. Well, and recording your guitar part, but then the mastering and adding all the extra layers and stuff takes forever and ever.
Yeah, because we're working out of a home studio,
Mm-hmm.
and laying down all the different backing parts takes a lot of work. And also times if we're working with other musicians, we're working with them remotely. So we'll send them scratch tracks and they'll record their own part at their home studios and send them in. And we have to find a take that works or mix together a track from various takes, and get one that we really like. And mix it all together and then master it. So that's a really involved part. Some people think we just sit down and know the song,
hit record and play.
And it just magically happens. It's like,
Right.
There's a lot of massaging that
Right.
It's like when you write a book, you don't just sit down and it all falls out of your head onto the page.
And you send it off to print.
Right. You start with an
Mm-hmm.
outline and you kind of have an idea of where it's
And then
going.
It gets edited numerous times.
Right.
Yeah.
I think another part of the process, the songwriting itself can be really challenging for us sometimes.
If we're both working on it.
Well, because I'm at a point in my life where I have written a lot between doing medieval reenactment stuff where I'm writing a lot of my own material, and the Wizard Rock and everything else. I've written everything that I really want to write, I think, sometimes.
So that's why I wrote most of the last album.
Yeah,
Because he just wouldn't do it.
Yeah, she's really been excited about getting some new material out there. So I've told her, okay, give me some lyrics. And oftentimes a tune just comes from noodling around
Mm-hmm.
with chord progressions, or sometimes she'll have a tune idea that we can work with. But a lot of it is simply having a song idea and then giving it structure, because Kirsten's song, even my own, both, it helps a lot to have some kind of structure to latch onto. I don't know if you do much poetry.
I write poetry.
Okay, so with poetry, unless you're doing like really open free verse stuff, it helps to give yourself a form. If there's a few lines that you've written, and then you can latch onto them and really draw a pattern out of that to give yourself a verse form, that really helps. And it's a blessing and a curse, because it's like, oh God, now I want to express this thought in a line, but I'm led to, I only have this many syllables, and it has to rhyme with
cow.
Yeah, this line from 2 lines before.
I actually I write horror and I write poetry. Not horror poetry, but there's a thing called horror haiku right now.
That got me thinking about horror poetry.
Horror haiku is even
okay.
better.
We got to tell us about that.
So the horror haiku is, it's kind of new to me. I just heard about it, but a friend of Rachel Brune, again, she had posted something about writing horror haikus, and I think she's doing something for the Facebook group or whatever with the Chrome Girls Press. And so I was like, oh, this is kind of interesting. So I actually wrote like 13 little horror haikus, and it's 5 syllables, 7 syllables, 5 syllables. And what I did was, I'm in the middle of finishing it, but it's a sequence. So the first one starts a story, and and then each one progresses the story along. But yeah, it's interesting because I've published 2 poetry chapter books, and I do write with rhyming schemes, but I also do a lot of free verse poetry. And I know what you mean. Like, you'll have a thought, and that might be the theme of the poem, and you have to kind of figure out, how do I want to develop this, or how do I want to, progress this story with it. And, I can understand the burnout too, kind of feeling like, oh, well, I've done a lot, and I need to do, something different. And, I guess that's a good thing, about being a partner, being married. My wife and I, we complement each other with a lot of things. So, it's pretty cool that y'all can do that together.
Yeah.
Do you want to hear some of the horror haikus?
Sure.
Yeah, why not, right?
I'm morbidly fascinated by this now.
Okay, let me pull it up. Okay, so everybody, you're going to be hearing some horror haikus. Give me a second here. I need to pull it up because I had sent the string of them over. Okay. All right, so the first one. Dark and desolate, the path ahead is unknown. Will I make it home? We left yesterday. Now we are completely lost. This dark road scares me. Almost out of gas. GPS is not working. What is that ahead? Shotgun blast hits us. We veer off the road and hit a tree. We veer off and hit a tree, losing consciousness. I wake with hands tied, my mouth bound with dirty rope. What is happening? I look around me. Paul's face is bloody. Is he? He's not answering. I scream and I cry. My Paul is dead. He is dead. Why, God? Why take Paul? The man comes for me, smiles at me, whistling, bends down, drags me by my hair. I try to fight back. He kicks my head hard 3 times, says to me, "You're mine." My wrists hurt in pain. The shackles are very tight. It is dark in here. I'm hungry and weak, all alone in this cellar. I am sure to die. He comes back for me, takes me upstairs to the house, sits me down to eat. Tastes awful and gross. I eat it though, need my strength if I will survive. and those are 13 horror haikus that I wrote.
Wow.
But it's a sequence, it's each one can stand alone if they want to, but I wrote it kind of like as a sequence, and when you're talking like a theme, that was what it was like. Okay, here, how can I tell a story, kind of a suspenseful horror story, but in 3 lines with, 17 syllables.
Right.
Yeah. So, I thought, okay, well, I'll do that. And then what I did was I just made like a little infographic type thing with a dark road with the headlights on it, and, I just think it's kind of fun. So, for me, when I get, excuse me, when I get a little burnt out, I'll challenge myself to do something different, which that sounds like what you did. You're like, oh, I've kind of written what I want to write. Let's do something different. And, you produce a, really cool album.
Yeah. And for me, I think the growth has come from, really delving into recording technology and arranging, because I've started producing. I did 3 albums for a friend who's a songwriter, and I did all of her backing instrumentals and all of her recording and everything for that. And she does music inspired by medieval history. It's some neat stuff. But that was a stretch for me. And then on our newer recordings, I've really tried to push some of the arrangements and just deliver a better recording, because some of our early recordings, like you played Dobby, that's a much older recording for us, and thankfully it's kind of a punk rock song and can take advantage of those low production values.
Well, no, I think it's really cool because if you think about it, YouTube was still pretty new in 2009 when that video showed the date on it, and it also gives people a chance, like, I think folks like the behind the scenes stuff. I know for me, publishing fiction, I know that my process has gotten a lot better, and I know, like, learning how to publish and formatting and stuff like that's gotten a lot better. So, I know for a fact that I've worked really hard on doing that, and you can look back at like my early fiction stuff and the newer stuff, and you can see, the progression of it. So I think it's cool. It's like when you have, taste, but you don't have the technology, it's like, yeah, I know it's not as good as I want it to be, but this is where I want it to, to go to. So I think it's kind of cool. And then I think it was appropriate for, talking about, with the Wizard Rock and all that.
Yeah.
So what's next, y'all? What are y'all doing with the, I know you were telling me on the phone before that you've got some tours that you're going to be doing.
Well, not so much touring as we're musical guests at a bunch of upcoming conventions. We're playing. We're doing something local up here in the Raleigh area in March. It's called Fantasy, and it's a local sci-fi fantasy convention. And since we're local and they like us, they have us. It's easy. It doesn't cost them anything to bring us in. We have fun. In April, we've been invited. There's I don't know if you've ever heard the term filk, F-I-L-K.
Okay, so I thought you had misspelled folk.
No, well, that's how it started.
Yep, that's the origin of the word.
Okay. I thought it was folk, and I was like, okay, so that's why I read folk instead of filk. I was like, well, all right.
No, so filk is a word that's often used to describe the music of sci-fi and fantasy fandom. So there's, if you go to one of these conventions, there's almost always what they'll call a filk room or a filk track, and people sitting around with their guitars and ukuleles and mandolins, organs and whatever, and singing songs about Star Trek and anime and spooky monsters and Doctor Who and all that kind of thing. A lot of it is parodies of pop songs, but then you also get probably at least half of it is people doing original work as well. So we're actually going to a filk convention in outside of Toronto, Ontario, in Canada.
Oh, neat!
At the end of April, and we're like one of their international guests for the weekend. So,
Oh, very
so that'll be
cool.
good time hanging out with other nerd musicians. Gosh, what else we got going on? In May, we're playing near Hendersonville, North Carolina.
Just a Harry Potter festival at a brewery.
Yep, that's a fun gig.
And then later in May, we have we're Silk guests at Marcon, which is another sci-fi fantasy convention in Columbus, Ohio.
Awesome. Well, let me
And-
do a station ID real quick. We've got to do it on the quarter, the half, and the 45. Everybody, you're listening to WRUU-LP Savannah, Georgia, 107.5 FM, WRU.org. We are Savannah Soundings Community Radio with Global Soul. This is the Adam Messer Show, and I'm your host, Adam Messer. And my special guests today are Kirsten and Scott Vaughn from the Blibbering Humdingers. And we're just talking about their upcoming tour. Fun fact, y'all. I started my own book convention in 2016 for authors. It's called the Savannah Quill, and we connect writers and readers to promote literacy. And I hosted the first one here in Savannah for like a Harry Potter trivia type thing, like a Harry Potter festival type thing with my book convention. And we did like a trivia contest, and we did a costume contest, and it was just so much fun. And then we did it again. The first year, 2016, is when I founded it. We were going to do it in October that year, but the hurricane blew us out, so we ended up doing it the following October in 2017, and then we did it again in 2018. 2018 was kind of like, it just kind of fizzed out. It wasn't, the book festival wasn't really as popular. So this last year, I didn't do a Harry Potter thing again with the Quill. I actually kind of changed it up, and I did this thing called the Savannah Authors Expo. Better venue. It was really neat. It was at a coffee shop called the Savannah Coffee Roasters, and we had about 10 authors this time. The last couple of years we had like 25 and 50, and just changed it up because when you're doing stuff you have to kind of change it up. But yeah, it was kind of fun. We did doing the Harry Potter trivia and the costume contest. I really love seeing the kids come out in their costumes, and one of the kids that came out that actually won the costume contest was a little kid that dressed up like Dobby, and I was like, oh, look at this. So it was so cool. You remember when the Harry Potter illustrated copies came out?
Mm-hmm.
We've been collecting them as they.
Yeah, so that was one of our prizes, and we had a quilt that Barnes & Noble had donated for us of Harry Potter, kind of like a I don't know what you call it, but like a faction flag, like they would carry into battle, like kind of like that. It was kind of like that, but it was a quilt. I can't remember the name of it right now, but it was a Harry Potter, like you'd hang it on the wall like a tapestry or type, something like that. So it was kind of cool. I've always been like like when I was a kid, I used to read a lot of sci-fi, and we went to the Renaissance Fair up in Ohio a couple times, Cincinnati, but I'd never really been to one as an adult. But here in Savannah, we have there's a bunch of little comic book conventions. We used to have this one gaming convention called GnomeCon, and they were pretty cool. It was like a sci-fi gaming convention. So you'd have people, cosplaying as like Star Trek and, like Doctor Who and stuff like that. So it was pretty cool. So.
Yep, that's our scene.
Yeah, that's really cool. Let's play one more song because we're gonna do 2 hours today. So let's play one more song, and then we're gonna wrap up this hour, and then we're gonna come back at 4:00. Let me see here. Actually, you know what? Off that same album, let me do. These are the droids you're looking for.
Oh wow, that one. Okay.
Let me turn the sound off until I get past the YouTube videos. It's a clean one, right?
Well, it's a parody. I don't know what licensing is like with your radio station, but it's a pretty clear parody. So we
might
feel
want to pick a
safe.
different one. I don't know.
Okay, well, what's a suggestion off of that album that's not going to infringe copyright or something like that?
How about the Niffler Swing?
Niffler Swing. Okay, let's pull that one up. Okay, gotta play past this. Skip ad. Okay.
2, 3, 4. I got to have all those sparkly things. I don't want love, I dig jewels and rings. No beggar's hat is ever safe one bit. I've just been seen, now it's time to split. Drag the goods back to my nest. Cuddle up and take a rest. I look around, I don't have enough, so I dance back out to get more stuff. It's the Niffler Swing. Niffler Swing. Ooh, it's the Niffler Swing. Glitz and glam and glimmering gold, shiny, sparkly, shimmery cold. I'll sniff it out with my cute little nose, scoop it up into my pouch it goes. Bejeweled, bedazzled, burnished bling, lustrous loot, I'm a pilfering king. My pouch is full of my glittering hoard, gonna boogie now with the swag I've scored. It's the Niffler Swing. Niffler Swing. It's the Niffler Swing. Heidi ho. Heidi ho. Shiny, shiny. Shiny, shiny. Hoop babalama. Hoop babalama. Bibbidi bibbidi boop bop. Bibbidi bibbidi boop bop. Hoop boop, hoop boop. Hoop boop, hoop boop. Biggity biggity boop bop. Biggity biggity boop bop. One, two, three. Just for me, what's in my stash? More, 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 I just gotta have flash. Twinkling coins, I dig them out of the ground. The treasure you lost is the one I found. Effulgent radiance, twinkling bright. Emeralds, rubies, light of the night. Copper, silver, I never spend. Diamonds are a Niffler's best friend. Diamonds are a Niffler's best friend. Diamonds are a Niffler's best friend.
My name is Timmy Failure.
You're late, failure. Again.
He's Mr. Crocus.
No talking.
I was mouthing.
No mouthing.
This portion of WRUU-LP Savannah Soundings programming is brought to you by listeners and the Ships of the Sea Museum. One of the hidden secrets of the Ships of the Sea Museum is its gardens. Native plants are interspersed with exotic tropical plants throughout the gardens. Visitors can enjoy everything that has earned the Ships of the Sea Museum the Trip Experts 2015 Experts Choice Award. You can find out more about the Ships of the Sea Museum at the website shipsofthesea.org. This portion of WRUU-LP Savannah Soundings programming is brought to you by listeners.
This is WRUU-LP Savannah, Georgia, 107.5 FM, WRUU.org. We are Savannah Soundings, community radio with global soul. This is Tyler Twomby from the album Chill Beats EP.